Across Africa's vast savannas, a magical journey unfolded over centuries. Goats grazed rhythmically on hills, munching grass and trees, defying the harsh landscape. This is the result of local farmers' efforts. So how do African farmers raise millions of goats annually? In today's video, we'll uncover the answer. Africa is a vast continent with tropical and subtropical climates, expansive grasslands, and lush vegetation. This creates ideal conditions for omnivores like goats to thrive. Statistics show Africa has about 300 million goats, 40% of the world's goat population. Several countries boast tens of millions, like Ethiopia, 110 mm, Nigeria, 95 m, and Kenya, 41 m. Goats play a crucial role in improving livelihoods and food security in Africa. They thrive in harsh environments, reproduce quickly, and are more fertile than cattle. They also provide meat and milk for people. Thus, goats are seen as one of the most accessible income sources for farmers in poor African villages. South Africa's goat population exceeds 35 million, mostly raised in traditional small-scale production systems like this. These systems are characterized by low-skilled labor, small goat numbers, and limited resources. Compared to modern large-scale farms, these operations have relatively low productivity and yield. However, for those struggling financially, goat farming is ideal. It's easy to start and requires little upfront investment. You see, farming costs are low, so African farmers focus on goat grazing, letting them roam freely in vast savannas. This grazing system reduces pressure on natural resources and creates optimal conditions for goat herd development. Like some cattle farms worldwide, farmers here often herd goats with sheep to maximize vegetation use. You can see goats roaming lush pastures or winding through arid deserts like this. We see absolutely no sign of the herder. Farmers guide goats to suitable grazing areas, leaving the rest of foraging to the animals. In most African farms, goat management involves daytime grazing and nighttime confinement. For financially struggling breeders, most allow their goats to develop naturally. Outdoor enclosures were built with thorny bushes or wooden posts to deter thieves and predators. Clearly, uncontrolled breeding means no supplementary feed or veterinary care. In southern African countries like Mozambique, Zambia, and South Africa, they limit farm facility investments, as pens are mainly used to prevent crop damage, while allowing farmers to focus on other agricultural tasks. The largest proportion of livestock costs is attributed to breeding stock. High heat, drought, food scarcity, lack of clean water, and diseases. These natural African factors don't hinder these goat herds' survival. They maintain production and breeding performance in harsh environments. This is partly due to their small size, allowing efficient use of low-quality forage. In recent years, climate change has worsened droughts, hitting rural areas hard, especially in sub-Saharan Africa. Yet, native goat herds have adapted, developing heat tolerance in these harsh environments. As local pastures dried up, this goat herd had to roam further to find food. Under the scorching sun, the goats pressed on, crossing arid land with dry bushes and steep canyons, seeking new grazing grounds. Farmers here say that in the last 8 years, their main challenges in goat farming have been high kid mortality and slow growth rates in survivors. High disease rates, parasites, and poor nutrition also hinder goat growth, reducing production and breeding success. This scene isn't much different from wild goats roaming freely. These goats mostly fend for themselves, occasionally getting family scraps, but usually foraging on their own. For weak kids unable to graze, farmers bring twigs or grass to the barn like this. This also happens during bad weather when grazing isn't possible. Most African farmers can't afford to supplement with synthetic feed pellets. So, from a young age, kids are exposed to leaves and grasses like these. This seems to be their main diet throughout the entire life of African goats. When grazing conditions are good, goats move from place to place, seeking shrubs with fresh leaves. Tending to goats as they roam villages is a full-time job for Ethiopian farmers. A farmer in South Africa's arid KwaZulu-Natal mountains opens the gate to release his goats. Their grazing journey begins. Unlike being in a barn, you can see they thrive while grazing, blending with hills and grasslands. We see that animals, goats included, instinctively prefer their natural habitat. No matter how well you care for them, goats still favor these grazing trips. Farmers start milking from 5:30 a.m. to 6 a.m. They then let cattle graze and return them to barns at 4 p.m. At this time, they'll check the herd's number and condition after a day of grazing. South Africa is one of the few countries that successfully developed Boer, Kalahari Red, and Savannah goat breeds, now widely used worldwide. Boer goats are farmers' favorites, offering advantages like excellent meat and milk, disease resistance, and better mothering skills than other goat breeds. However, farmers still need to carefully manage and care for the kids during their first few weeks of life. If you don't properly care for them during this critical period, you could easily lose up to half of these young goats. This is a farm located in the subtropical low-veld region. Farmers here have utilized the cleared land with lush pastures to raise goats. As you can see, the goat herd is thriving. It's a stark contrast to the arid farms in western South Africa. Despite challenges, we must acknowledge that goat farming brings economic benefits to African communities. Statistics show an adult goat can sell for between $50 and $100. With 10 to 20 goats, farmers can earn profits of $550 to $1,100 annually. Goat farming has helped many African farmers escape poverty and prosper. Many families built large barns and bought equipment. all thanks to income from goats. For extra cash, farmers often bring young goats to market to sell. But experienced goat farmers won't buy goats from the general market. After raising them, farmers found the quality wasn't guaranteed. Some have common livestock diseases while others become infertile as adults. Or when giving birth, the goat won't nurse and even competes with kids for food. Instead, to be sure, farmers visit reputable goat farms to choose breeds. Large-scale farmers need to verify the origin and quality of goats they buy. They also remember to ask about vaccinations and deworming. Barns and pastures are also carefully chosen and invested in. On this farm, each goat gets 2 pounds of organic feed daily. They're also given roughage like hay as a supplement. The farm owner ensures goat health through regular vaccinations. This man's herding vaccinated goats to a separate barn. Besides barns and scientific care, they raise goats traditionally. Green grass remains crucial for their growth and development. Gradually, goats appeared on every branch of the tree. You won't find scenes like this anywhere else. These are mischievous goats in Morocco. They make grazing a desert spectacle. The journey of African savanna goats isn't just about survival. It's a tale of harmony with nature and the magic of adaptation. Even in the harshest conditions, desert goats still seek out life. They're also the result of farmers' tireless efforts. Despite challenges in this unpredictable land, they raise millions of goats annually. Hello friends. Today we'll visit US goat farms to see how millions of goats are raised. As of September 2022, the US had about 2.65 million goats, mainly in Tennessee, Texas, California, and Georgia. This is a goat farm in Georgia. After roughly 145 days of pregnancy, hundreds of goats here started giving birth. According to U.S. Department of Agriculture stats, about 778,000 goats are born yearly, with up to 47% in Texas. There are many flies on this goat farm, but it's not a major health concern for the goats. At 1 week old, these goats weigh about 13 pounds. They're now moved to a separate area to drink as much milk as possible. At 1 month old, the goats can go out to play and move freely. Goats are considered fully mature when they reach 18 months of age. At this point, the average weight of goats is between 110 and 115 pounds. This is a grazing goat farm in Texas. In the morning, shepherds release the goats into pastures to feed freely. Currently, there are about 1,100 goats in Texas.
Million goats, representing 41% of the national goat population. Most Texas goats are raised for meat, with 83% of U.S. goat meat coming from the state. In the evening, dogs herd goats to a safe area to protect them from coyote attacks at night. It's estimated that about 1,100 goats in Texas fall victim to coyote attacks each year. On many South Texas goat farms, farmers regularly rotate their goats between different pastures. This practice helps preserve pastures and reduces parasite infestations in the goats. Now let's take a look at a dairy goat farm in California. Here, the goats enjoy a richer diet with more grains and protein. California currently has about 97,000 goats, with 45% raised for milk production. Have you ever tried goat's milk? Tell us what you thought about its taste. This is how goats are milked at a California dairy. This modern setup can milk 90 goats at once. Each goat here produces 12 pounds of milk daily. The U.S. has about 371,000 dairy goats as of 2022. Dairy goat farms are mainly in CA, Wisconsin, and IA. After milking, equipment's cleaned and milk sent to make cheese. This is a goat cheese factory in Wisconsin. Have you tried goat cheese before? Tell us what you think of this cheese. South Sudan, Spain, France lead in goat cheese production. Here's a look at a traditional goat cheese facility. What's your take on the goat cheese process shown? Share your thoughts in the comments below.